Alright, hello everybody. Don't know if you guys can hear me good versus the background music. If anyone in chat is listening and able to type, let me know how my audio is versus the ambience. I haven't streamed in a while, so don't know if my setup is still operational. Just kind of toss this together in 20 minutes. Pokemon theme and stuff. But I'm excited to dig in. We'll grab a glass of water and we'll start in about 30 seconds. Okay, excellent. Just grab the drink. About to look into this. So this is a Pokemon. It's a tabletop made by fans, for fans, and all that kind of stuff. It seems to share a happy medium between the show and the game. For the game, for example, when I was skimming through it, like if a Pokemon gets reduced to 0, you can't catch it, stuff like that. And then there are optional rules that also will ignore stuff like that. I'm in the Discord server, so if you want to download this product, you can go to this page right here. Holy shit, it's a fucking Bulbasaur. And there's right here, you just click this, you get the book, there's resources. I noticed they had a generator, so if we have a random encounter in the forest, I hit the random encounter music. I could generate something very fast. I can set it to a forest, a swamp, all this other stuff. So the creator, this passion project of theirs, has gone pretty deep in what they're providing, which is awesome. And yeah, this right here, what's this domain name? Chronic Delusionist Neocities. Just type in Pokemans, make sure you spell it the way they spell it, and I'm sure it'll pop up on Google. I also noticed, which is one of the reasons this caught my eye, is that it's functional in Roll20, which is nice. Let me go ahead and go to Roll20. Got a nice little drop screen here, just something pending for Dual Destiny. And then here is, hold on, we gotta get him his bubbles. Beedrill needs his bubbles. There we go, there's his bubbles. I noticed it has a functional Roll20 sheet. And don't worry, I'm gonna get to the PDF in a moment, but to fill the space and to kind of show you why I'm thinking about playing this one in particular, is I do like how it's been made for Roll20. Which again, the fans have made it. This is just a random sheet. It's not actually filled out correctly or anything like that, but I was toying around with it and I noticed the sheet looks really great. The functionality of the sheet looks really great. Have a little fun here. Phanpy, Donphan is my favorite Pokemon, so I just threw a Phanpy in here. Anyone watching right now, what is your favorite Pokemon? And is it like an unknown option, an unpopular option? If it's a popular option, that's fine, by the way. If you tell me it's Charizard, I'm not going to be like, that's overhyped, that's lame. I love Charizard. But my favorite Pokemon is Donphan. And you know what? It's Donphan because when I was growing up and that first Pokemon movie came out, I thought I'd seen all the Pokemon. And when they had that little elephant come on scene and fight Pikachu and company, I was like, what's going on? I was freaking out. Of course, we saw Ho-Oh and stuff and other things early on that alluded to there being more, but I was like, what, 10, 9 maybe? My mind was just hyped. But anyways, yeah, so it has a function of seed in Roll20, which is where I host most of my games when I run them. So that's +1 right there. In any case, I'm going to look over this, see if I really want to run this or if I'm going to opt to do a different system. But I'm pretty on board from what I can see. And I have a Discord community too, which should be fairly easy to find and join in the website I linked earlier. Alright, so this book here, it's not actually $14.99, don't worry. It's just kind of like this passion project, old school. It's got this late 90s, early 2000s aesthetic to it. Kind of newspaper ramble where everything's all over the place, but is organized still. Let's go ahead and look at this bad boy. I won't read everything page by page because there's 249 pages, so we're going to skim, jump around. get the gist of things, if we like it or not, etc. But I will hang out on pages if you guys want to look over it, take a screenshot, or read it yourselves. We'll do the help games in 10 minutes to just get kind of the hit the floor running preview of what this game is about. It's all right. Oh, we have someone here that's worked on it or knows people who has worked on it. That is based off of the Prima Guide Apex. I always mess up pronouncing that short structure there, but you get what I'm saying. In any case, I do like how it looks, and it reminds me of the books I picked up a long time ago when I was younger. Alright, so help, games in 10 minutes. So the first thing you need to do is grab a copy of the character sheet and print it out. Or if you're on Roll20, you got a Roll20 sheet. Make a trainer. Put in a name and a concept. Calling is the main thing your trainer wants to be or do. Something like catch 'em all or gym leader, or maybe you want to be the champion of the region, right? So it's simple. I don't know if there's any mechanics behind it, but maybe it's just a reminder like, hey, this is your goal. Is what you're doing right now a step towards achieving that? Or are you just living life, which is probably appropriate, but maybe don't go against your goal. Like if your goal is to become a gym leader, you probably don't want to be competing in every single Pokemon contest there is. Not that there's anything wrong with competing in those. Now let's see here. Attribute dice start at D4. You can have 4 dice upgrades to spend at the start. Dice can't go higher than a D8 in character creation no matter what. So it looks like there's a distribution of dice. So instead of stats like in D&D, which is my primary game, you'll assign scores 16, 15, 13, 12, all that stuff, and it puts a modifier that benefits a roll. Here it looks like you're assigning dice to stats, which is interesting. Make a starter Pokemon. Find the Pokemon on Cerebi or whatever and fill its type and species. Pick a special ability it can get and fill the note in with a description of it. You can invoke this when things happen to make it take effect. Okay, excellent. So I guess you guys don't have to worry about finding hidden abilities, because if you want the hidden ability, you can just choose the hidden ability. And I love when stuff says on Cerebi or whatever. The whatever part is hilarious to me. Let me tell you why. When I was in the military, we had MREs. And you think the military, that's as professional as it gets, right? And in the description of the MREs, the heating function, which can burn your hands and stuff with chemicals, it says, when this product is heating, just lay it on a rock or something. So when I see stuff like that, especially in professional stuff, I'm like, man, that's awesome. The military telling you to just lay this chemical on a rock or something. Alright, anyway, so you pick 4 moves that the Pokemon can learn by leveling up. Don't worry about level, it just has to be capable of learning it at some point through leveling up. Describe the moves in the notes based on what it says on the wiki or whatever. Moves start off at D4-1. If it doesn't match one of your Pokemon type. D4 if it matches one, and a D6 if it matches one of your Mons only has one type. Oh, if your Mon only has one type. Allocate 2 extra die step boosts whenever you want, not exceeding D8. Give the Pokemon 4 in toughness. Okay, so you have a lot of room to kind of choose what you want in your first Pokemon. I guess how the GM can control later Pokemon is when you catch them, maybe they have what they have. But if you have a starter Mon, I guess you could start with Hydro Pump, if you're like a Squirtle or a Totodile, instead of Bubble or Bubble Beam. I guess it's your starter Mon is your signature Mon, maybe it's a step above the rest. Play the game. Pick a trainer attribute. If you are in a battle and attack, the default trainer thing in battle is Tactics. You can justify using something else, you can use that. Roll the trainer skill die and the Pokemon move die. If either of them is higher than 4, you succeed. 10 is a critical success. In most cases in battle, you have to meet toughness, which was described above, which was a 4, for example. If you roll the max die number, roll it again and add it to the total. That's exploding dice, which I think is common in Savage Worlds. I haven't played a lot of Savage Worlds, but it's a system that can be layered into almost anything. Sci-fi, superheroes, classic fantasy, pirating adventures, stuff like that. A very, very cool system. In any case, it looks like if you're attacking, I guess if you get a 5 and the Pokemon's toughness is 4, you've managed to get through, for example. But hopefully that becomes clear later on. Trainer tips. Don't feel bad if you were late to the party. This club was too. Oh man. And he ended up helping to launch a franchise. That's true, he was late. That's a nice little thing. I hope we see a lot of this in here. That trainer tips that are really fun, chill, take from the source material. Be mindful, you know, if Ash was on time, it'd be an entirely different series with an entirely different mascot. Charizard would probably be the main character. I don't know. Alright, so we've got contents here so you can see what we're going to dive into. Wait, where's the golden rules? Page 2. Oh, it starts after this, lol. There we go. I'm used to counting like all the pages. Like some documents will start on like, hey, the first page is actually page 7. Alright. Let's see here. We got a foreword. If you guys want to read the foreword, I'll probably read the entirety of this on my own time, but because it's a live stream and part of that is entertaining and other part of it is kind of getting to the good stuff quickly. All this stuff is up here for you to see. Again, you can get the product free on the Pokemon site. You can check out all this at your own pace. I'll linger, but I want to make sure we get to the good stuff. Let's check out the golden rules. This is kind of the foundation of what a TTRPG is. And regardless of the system, a lot of times they're very similar, the golden rules. It's just this general thing. We're here to have fun. Sometimes if the rules get in the way, ignore them, stuff like that, I imagine. So let's go ahead and check them out proper. Be respectful to others. In Pokemon, the good guys are people who help others. Take action to emphasize with that and form positive relationship with people in Pokemon. The bad guys are people who take advantage of others, harm them, and disregard others' feelings. Likewise, out of character, the table should be a space that prioritizes communication, empathy, and respect. Okay, so very general thing here. It's necessary to go in all these books. It's nothing ever very special, but again, it's appropriate. When we come to the table, and anyone who's played in my D&D games, you know, I've been running D&D games for years. Many of you are there. I do it professionally. It's my day job. Or rather, I guess it's a night job since it's mostly at night. But we make many memories, and it all starts with us making sure that we're respectful of each other. Someone's talking, someone's doing an activity, whether it's in character or out of character, make sure that we're there to support them. And that's what this looks like. And you know I love heroic fantasy in particular, so I don't really like running parties where the players are the bad guys. Because that only goes, you can only burn down so many towns before it gets old. In Pokemon, your role is to be the good people. You're stopping Team Rocket. Now, of course, you could put a spin on it and be Team Rocket, and that wouldn't be very difficult. But the idea is that you are that Ash Ketchum. Alright, drama trumps mechanics. The rules are there to facilitate creativity, not the other way around. If a player has a galaxy brain play that makes sense within the context of the narrative, or wants to use moves, abilities, or items in novel ways, allow them to within reason. It's only wrong if it's taking away from the fun. I can definitely agree with that. Their bridge is broken. It might be tough, but use Bulbasaur's Vine Whip across and try to get across on the vines, but there's a dangerous fall, which is probably going to be a little skill challenge of its own. And we got to make our way across. Now, if it's a Venusaur, maybe those ropes are tight enough that we can get over there without the fees. But it's really cool to solve things in the world, even if there isn't a rule for it. Just do what you have to do, get it done. Game logic covers the gaps, or anime or manga logic, as the case may be. If there's an area where the rules are unclear or ambiguous, as is intentional in some places, look to the established Pokemon media for inspiration on what calls to make. Okay, really cool. Not much to note there. Screw the rules. I like that this is in here like, hey, you like this book? Throw it out and just do what you gotta do. If you don't like the rules, rewrite them. This RPG was written because the existing Pokemon TTRPGs on the internet space didn't do it for me. If your group doesn't like how something is, house rule it without fear. Except Golden Rule 1, for obvious reasons. Yeah, you guys gotta respect each other and you guys gotta have some fun. Yeah, I like that. And if you played any of my games or if you're new, I love house rules. Most of them are to get the fantasy I'm hoping to push. Sometimes that's adding a layer of difficulty. Other times it's letting you drink your potion as a bonus action because it's not fun to lose your turn to get health back and then the enemy hits you and it's all gone again, right? So we do things to help progress what we're kind of, our goal is when we're telling our stories. Okay, we got a glossary of terms here. I'll look over these briefly. I'll probably read some of them. Anything that looks interesting to me. But I'm sure as we go throughout, we'll get more direct information on each one. Okay, so right off the bat, just looking at these, Beam Struggle, that's hella cool. Episode, I like the idea that every session is an episode. Of course, some of those can extend. I think actually, let me actually read this. One complete short story arc may take place in one session or be stretched out over a couple, but generally has a central big problem that needs to be overcome. So think about when you woke up Saturday morning or whatever time you woke up to watch Pokemon, if you ever watch Pokemon. Each of those things were kind of their own complete tales, which was beautiful to see. Of course, there was an overarching goal. We got to get to the gyms, you got to beat the gyms, and sometimes they extended into more than one episode. But you would have really cool stories, like when Bulbasaur was in the Grove and wondering if he should evolve, and there was all those other Bulbasaurs and Venusaur and Ivysaurs. And there was this really cool, intricate tale that took place to its completion in one night. And you didn't realize then how spoiled you were, but that was some of the best things you could ever see. Whether it was Pikachu staring at the Thunderstone because he was wondering whether he wanted to evolve or not to beat Raichu. There was so many good things, and a lot of those happened in 1 to 2 episodes. And that is what I'm interested in telling. Instead of D&D where it's just like, or a moving session to session or half a session, I want to try to run sessions that are like an entire episode, that we can start the story, get the issue, get to the resolution in one night. Now, of course, it can't be as clean cut because we're not writing a script. So it's going to sometimes spill into multiple sessions unintentionally. Sometimes the rhythm will break. The outcomes will be different from what's expected. But that's the fun of it being your story and not something professionally written, is that we can go off the rails whenever we want. And I've got a lot of ideas already. So beam struggle, an escalation that occurs when 2 moves are pitted against each other during battle. Oh, brother. Gonna be saving that for stuff like gym battles or epic legendaries or odd moments, or when the player really feels it's appropriate. Probably not when you encounter a Rattata on Route 1, Probably no beam struggles there. Alright, let's see what else we got in Mastery. A spendable token that represents a major step in Pokemon's training, like evolution or a major bonding moment. I wonder if in the middle of the battle, if you have Mastery points, you can be like, dang, I'm losing this fight. I start to glow and evolve. That would be really cool. But we'll see how the mechanics play out in the rules later. Initiative, whatever, fighting order, safety tools. So even though it's like the late 90s, early 2000s, we've got the modern touch, which is appropriate. Things like safety tools that help us make sure that we're here to play a game, enjoy the game, and no one's pushing boundaries. It'll probably be really hard to push boundaries in a Pokemon game unless you're an asshole. Speaking of not being an asshole, my wife's calling me, so give me a moment. My wife was like, hey, I don't know if you're streaming. I know you said you were going to stream later. Do you want to have lunch or something or bring home lunch? My son, this is his first year in school. He's 4. So this is a whole brand new experience having our mornings to us. I don't know if I'm going to get back into streaming or do other stuff. But it is weird to not have a kid screaming, running around the house, tossing toys, asking for breakfast, lunch, whatever, because his belly's endless. So it's nice to have some peace and quiet and a change of pace, and this is gonna be every day into the school years. I'm gonna have to get used to this. I might run some morning games or something. But for people that don't know, I've got 2 children. One of them's 10 years old, and the other one's 4. And for the last 4 years, we didn't know what it felt like to have kind of our own time. And today's day 1. And what did I do? Stream some Pokemon TTRPGs. But yeah, alright, let's get back into this. Sorry, I'm real kind of like, sometimes I can get off track and do other stuff. It's more like I'm having a conversation with a friend versus being this high-end professional streamer. I do this very casual, I do this very rarely. But I'd be interested to get back into this. Alrighty. Okay, so we have the glossary of terms continued. Session 0, I always like to see how books recommend the Session 0s. Those can be real tough for people to understand what needs to be covered. Like you want to talk about everyone's goals, for example. If everyone wants to be champion, it could be tough if there's one champion role, or that could be the concept of campaign. Everyone's pushing to be the very best, right? And at the end of the day, the campaign's completion, maybe only one of them become champions. Though the truth is, you're all champions because it's not about the destination, but the journey. All right, status effects. I'm really interested to see how they implement status effects. It seems like it says a narrative effect that is acting upon a Pokemon, usually but not exclusively. So it's up to the GM and the players. Maybe in a tough moment, I make you do a roll to see if your Pokemon is paralyzed. I think in the game it's like a 1 out of 4 chance or something like that. But of course, there's so many iterations that the chance might have changed. Starter, the trainer's first Pokemon, where they have the most liberty to kind of decide and set up how that looks for them. I am going to allow one legendary Pokemon to be selected as a starter. One option. You guessed it. Bidoof will be an option for a starter Pokemon. He may be overpowered, but we're just going to have to roll with it. The god of all Pokemon. The father of Arceus. Or however people... everyone says that name different. Arceus. Or maybe it's just me. Alright, and anyways, let's go ahead and get into the manual. The bare bones of a Cubone on there. Alright, so the format. The default rules for Pokemans assumes that they are players who are playing Pokemon character PC trainers, as well as the Game Master GM who is running the story, playing non-playable characters NPCs, making calls like a referee. Which I'm very excited to play referees and other stuff. There's just, the Pokemon world is so elaborate. Okay, here's the dice steps, or the structures, or how they progress. So we got a D4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Anyone here that's played a TTRPG before isn't foreign to it, except for the fact there's no D20 there. Though if you fight a legendary, I might just throw D20s in the mix. Depending on how the rules here, like, F it, this guy's rolling D20s against you. Alright, let's see what we got here. Just an explanation of the dice functionality and what dice means and that they're multi-sided and stuff. Roll a die. If the result is 4 or above, it's a hit. Wow, that's really nice. I guess if you got a D4 -1, well, I don't know. But you're also rolling somebody else's die, so I wonder if it's very easy to hit. Which in the games, to be fair, 90% of your attacks didn't land. If the result is 10 or higher, it's a critical, and the action succeeds and has a bombastic narrative effect. If a die roll its maximum value, it explodes. So if you roll a 4 on that D4 -1, you're rolling another D4, buddy. And it can explode multiple times. There's a joke in there, but since we're doing Pokemon, we're going to keep it PG today. There's a lot of jokes in there. I digress. Explosions are determined by the face value of the die, right? So that's going to be the 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 on the dice. And if you're a legendary, a 20. A natural 20, baby. Okay, Pokemon Trainer and Pokemon Dice. People and Pokemon working together are the cornerstone of success. In any situation where Pokemon and a trainer are working together, such as using a move in battle, they both roll their relevant die, taking the higher result. Okay, so that's nice. So we're not I was wondering, like, a 4 is really easy to achieve if we're just stacking up 2 different die sets. It looks like we're taking the higher, whether it was the trainer's initiative that made you succeed, or if at the end of the day the Pokemon was just tough enough on its own to pull off the move with the trainer's support, right? Sometimes a Pokemon won't have a relevant move to add. That's okay. They can lend moral support or otherwise assist, add a D6. Generally speaking, unless stated otherwise, if there is a plus X or minus X on the die, it applies to all dice involved in a given roll. Okay, cool. Really simple structure there. And I like that it's leaving the door open, especially to probably decide those pluses and minuses. Which I'm going to get crazy. I was already thinking about, like, what does an Elite Four member look like? He's got a big plus at the end of his die, right? He's got to. Contested rows. Contested rows work the same way as regular rows, but instead of needing to roll a 4, 2 or more opposed characters roll against one another. Which is the best way to handle that, right? You don't want to set DC and both of them meet it endlessly. Now we're going to the 4 not being a success. Hell, a 9 might not be a success. A 12 might not be a success. It's only a success if you beat the opponent's higher number, which is going to make for some great scenes when you roll first and you've got that 11 and you're like, there's no way in hell I'm going to lose this. And boom, your opponent comes out with that 12. All right, so I won't read all this, but it looks like that just kind of talks about how that's handled, what happens with the winner against the toughness, etc., etc. But so there's something important in there. In this contested roll, you got to beat the toughness by 6 or more to get the crit instead of the normal 10 plus, which is a good rule to have since we're no longer using the conventional 4 and a 10. All right, let's see here. If the roll value is tied, the opposing Pokemon enters an escalation, which, as the word implies, everything kind of gets even hyper. All parties are given a chance to back down and take a reduced loss. That's really cool. Like, damn, I don't know if I could beat this guy. I got lucky on the first roll and we tied. Maybe it's time I just cut loose here, take my loss, whatever. But if not, we're going to just keep going and going and going, and the victory is going to be a crit no matter what. That's scary. That's fun. That's everything you love about Pikachu shooting towards Charizard in that final championship battle. That's the escalation, right? Neither party's willing to yield. We're taking it to the next level. As long as the winner of any contested roll did not win by 6 or more, one of the participants can spend a mastery die to force an escalation. Cool. So even when you're down, you're not out. And I love the concept of that, right? I wonder if you can spin that to whatever you want. Like the mastery, like, man, I'm about to lose, but my Pokemon evolves right now, right here in the middle of the fight. Boom, this shit just escalated. Okay, excellent. See, this is how you know they're a fan. It would be a shame to see someone write Snake Eyes here instead of reversing it for Ekans. You can't miss these references. You gotta have stuff like this to know that the person loved what they were doing. And this is, what is it called? Like a beast of burden, a product of love or something like that. Where it's a lot of work, it's not easy work, but you love it so much. At the end of the day, you sit back in your chair and you're like, holy crap, I made this. I did this. And it has all the beats you need in there, starting with the Ekans Eyes. This is a soft reference here, but it's so important to this product overall, right? If the die roll all ones or Ekans Eyes, the roll is a critical miss. The action fails while also adding a complication to the situation. Oh lord. This could be a new hazard, the temporary inability to use a move, or simply a narrative twist. You know, Psyduck and his headaches and stuff, he's confused even though no one casts confusion on him. But instead of unleashing ungodly psychic powers, he simply faints on his own accord, or is temporarily just kind of out of the mix of the fight, or loses a turn, the opponent takes the initiative. A lot of stuff we can do with that Ekans Eyes there. Aiding another, roll modifiers. A player can forego their action in order to grant someone else's roll a bonus. They must declare how they're helping and roll one die, either a trainer or Pokemon die as relevant. The die is then added to the main actor's roll as though it was an extra trainer die. Nice. So the help action, pretty much. Circumstantial penalties and bonuses. Particular task is difficult to check, may be given a -1. Or, escalating -2, 3, 4, whatever. I don't know if there's a cap. But the concept here is that depending on the situation, you've got certain penalties. For example, if you're hanging off the side of a cliff and you're trying to jump up and uppercut someone, that's a really cool scene, but it's going to be tough. Now, when I give you that -1, if you still manage to pull it off, oh boy, is that going to be a great memory, right? So if the Pokemon's kind of looking down at you, Darth Maul style, you're down the bottom, you're Obi-Wan and you're a Padawan. You're going to make that jump, and if you succeed, it's going to be the most epic thing ever. But it's going to be very difficult. There's so much story potential with this game. And I think that's why I was looking at Pokeroll, which was pretty good too. The most popular ones, I think it's United or Ultimate or some crap or something like that. I had looked over all those books, so a fair bit more crunchier, mind you. And it had all the little nitty-gritty stuff. But it just didn't sing to me the same way. I like the idea of the Bulbasaur beating the Venusaur. It shouldn't always happen. And with certain systems, it's impossible. The stat disparity is too high. But in this game, maybe that Bulbasaur conjures up his mastery, lifts up that Venusaur, slams him on his backside, takes the W. The narrative window for that possibility, which shouldn't be the normal, but should be a possibility, is there with this game, Pokemans. All right, character creation getting started. And I'm going to start moving through the pages a little bit faster because I understand there's 249 pages. I doubt I'm going to cover them all in this first stream. But I keep pausing because I like what I see. Digital character sheet. We already have a digital character sheet. There's a quick play reference, which I imagine is the 10-minute thing unless it's something grander. Pokemon training for slowpokes. Oh, which is the concept I'm already going with is an enemy team called Team Fusion, and they're studying like slowpokes and how their tails interact with their evolution, and if it's a possibility to fuse other Pokemon together or do other things Full Metal Alchemist style, but I won't get into that. I won't break your heart if you've never seen Full Metal Alchemist or the atrocious thing I'm talking about here between man and Pokemon. But I'm just thinking of something sinister. You know, the evil group got to be evil, right? So I'm thinking that they're going to be studying that, and maybe that's the real reason that Slowpoke tails are being taken. And we're going to revisit that narrative, which was pretty damn dark. When you were growing up, you didn't think too much of it. But when you got older, you're like, damn, they were harvesting tails, huh? So I think about putting a spin on that, which would be really awesome. And I think that could be cool. Now, of course, it's like, holy crap, why? But it's wise because you guys got to stop them. You got to get them. This team is bad. They have visions for the future. They've got the Mewtwo, build the ultimate Pokemon concept. So let's stop them, right? And there's so many things we can do with that. There's so many different Pokemon that were introduced that have similar things, whether it's an extra Pokeball for Shedinja and stuff. There's this unique aspect in evolution that is unseen, unheard of, and Team Fusion, they want to figure out how they can manipulate that to their own benefit. What's left to be discovered? What's left to be created? It's going to have a very classic theme mixed with modern intervention and stuff. Okay, so trainers are generally human beings, which I would hope so. I'd probably make that a hard rule. Like, hey, if you're in this world, we're going to be normal people. We already played enough D&D where you could be an orc, you could be an elf, whatever. Though I wouldn't be against an intelligent Pokemon like Meowth being a reoccurring character that is a Pokemon with Pokemon, because that sounds pretty cool, right? But, you know, my narrative brain is spinning on the possibilities. If they had never even implied that, like, generally human, I don't even know if I would have gone there. But it's cool that it's like, hey, well, you know, there are exceptions to everything, right? F the rules when you don't want to use them. So calling, I was really interested in, I wonder if this is just a narrative tool or just like a reminder go. Calling is an important aspect of your trainer. It's their overarching goal and motivation. And they will be awarded trainer advancements. Are there always spaces like this? I can't believe I didn't notice that. There's like a lot of spaces here that are really wide. Is that normal? It is in some areas, it seems. Okay. But I was reading it and my brain was like, something's wrong. Anyways, a calling must be something that your character is actively working towards. Maybe you're a Pokemon breeder and you know your Pokemon are getting it on every night because you're making all these eggs and stuff. Maybe you want to be the best contest goer. Maybe you want to be the champion, which is like the classic, get the badges, join the Pokemon League, which I imagine majority of players would want to do, but I would challenge people to look at the other aspects of the world that maybe you're less familiar with, and you tackle those as well. And even if it's a small campaign, that could be protecting the safari from poachers and stuff like that. That's your goal. Make sure Pokemon are recognized and kept safe. Maybe you're the end and you don't like to use Pokeballs. Now, that's going to get a little complicated quick, but we're going to work with you here. And all that other stuff. And anyways, the training, this just looks like it's just a simple reminder. Maybe occasionally you can use a calling for the circumstantial penalties and bonuses. You're protecting your safari, you're in the safari, your calling is that you're a safari worker. Let's give you a +1. This is your territory. You know the environment better than the enemy. So when they come around those rocks, you know the best position, boom. And we won't always explain it like that, but I'm going to say, hey, this is your stomping ground. Take a +1 on whatever the hell you do here, and let's repel the poachers. All right, let's go ahead and check out any new comments we got here. Alrighty. You hit the nail on the head on the burden of love thing. Naming things fun makes it more fun to do and read through. There's an optional Pokemon PC section if you want to play as a Pokemon. Oh, that's excellent. So this book has thought of it all. I would hope so with 249 pages. Now, of course, it did not set out the Pokemon. That'd be gruesome. I don't know if they have a sample section here, but it'd be a lot more than 249 pages for, I think there's like 900 or 1,000 Pokemon nowadays. Have they made a game with all the Pokemon in it yet? I'm sure some fan might have gone crazy with that. I wonder if there's an actual mainstream game that has every single Pokemon. But I remember around like Gen 5 or 6, they started dropping the catch 'em all slogan. Because they were like, man, people are going to be like, how can we catch them all if they're not all in the game? And that costs money to develop something like that. So eventually they started moving away from that slogan a little bit. Which honestly is kind of reasonable. It was getting a little out of hand to keep being like, hey, you got to catch all 1,000. Good luck. When I run this system, I think I'm going to just do gens 1 through 4. Not because those are my favorite gens, but because I don't want to have to facilitate what would my campaign look like with every single Pokemon. Why is this Pokemon not in this lighthouse when it's the perfect Pokemon for the lighthouse? Well, I'm human. I didn't think about it. But I can prevent that to an extent by using less Pokemon. So I'm thinking about doing gens 1 through 4. Because I think that's wide enough where you have options. Maybe your favorite got through, and also doesn't make me go crazy trying to figure out how the legendaries implement to the story, what Pokemon should be on Route 1, stuff like that. Alright, cool. So I like that. Let me get a sip of my goddamn drink here. If you guys have any questions for me, go ahead and drop them in chat. If there's stuff that you like about this game because you played it, maybe you wrote it, why don't you drop that in chat? There's a section here really interested in me going over. Drop that in chat. I'll give you guys a moment. I know we only got a few people here, but let me go ahead and drink some drink. Alrighty, I had to refill my drink. It's a lot of talking, as you'd imagine. I turned my fan on. Let me know if it's disruptive. Hopefully it's not. But it's kind of hot. I live in New York, and man, the weather here is crazy. This morning I was freezing. I was regretting not wearing a hoodie when I took my daughter to school. And now I'm in my house. I'm like, man, I'm really heating up. Part of it is probably because I'm standing. I have a standing desk, or rather a desk that converts to standing. You press a button, it goes up. So you can be seated or standing. Once I decided my job was going to be at a computer for most of the week and most of each day, I needed to be on my feet because sitting down so long, it was just getting, it was tiring to sit down. Alright, let's see what we got here. Yeah, they have PTA, PTU go insane lengths to fill the dexes. What do you mean the official ones? LOL. Noise. Alright, cool. Let's go ahead and get into this. Trainer attributes. So I'm very interested about this section over here. Looks like we're getting right into some optional stuff on the right page. Trainers have 4 attributes: heart, fitness, research, and tactics. When creating a trainer, all these attributes start at a D4. The trainer gets 4 die step upgrades to spend during character creation. Attributes may not exceed D8. So an upgrade is like one of them can make your D4 D6, right? You got the D12 maximum, but we're capping creation at D8s. And of course, you want to leave room for progression and stuff to get those D8s to D10s and 12s. So you have 4. You can pretty much specialize. Maybe make 2 of these D8, but then the rest of them are gonna have to be D4. Generalize, make them all the D6, stuff like that. Which is really interesting. Trainers roll the appropriate attribute for their approach to a situation alongside their Pokemon. A battling trainer must use tactics to direct the Pokemon's use of a move to affect the terrain, for example. In some situations, multiple attributes could be applicable. Pick what works best for the situation. Alright, my wife just walked in. Lunch is here. Nice. Alright, so let's see what these actually represent. Heart. Bond with others, make friends, read others, and empathize. Fitness. Use physical skills, stamina, and possible martial prowess. Research. Know Pokemon facts, use your general smarts, and use gadgets. Tactics. Direct Pokemon effectively in battle, think on your feet, and react. So tactics is going to be easy, very popular one. I wonder if they use a different one for the capture rate and stuff. I wonder what's going to make people not just speed run to D12 tactics. I'm sure there's something in here for that. Personally, my favorite is probably Heart. I can use that in a lot of ways. You know, your Bulbasaur's getting beat up by that Venusaur reference I made earlier. But your Bulbasaur's got more heart than that Venusaur, and that's why he's going to win. Okay, let's see what we got here. Something I like about watching new people read the book is they always have ideas that did not occur to me at all. Like a bonus for playing to your calling. Whoa, cool idea. Well, I've been a professional dungeon master for a long time. I literally make money running games, enough to pay my rent, enough to pay my lights, all that stuff. So when it comes to thinking on my feet, reading and digesting material that's new, I'm all there. I've got 1,000 ideas, and I cannot wait. Like, I already know I want my first gym to be a normal type. And early on, I'm going to introduce this guy whose art's not going to be remarkable. He's going to look really, really regular, and he's going to have Eradicate as his ace Pokemon. And you're just going to think he's a random guy on the road. He's going to suggest you go to the gym because you've got real talent, assuming you've got real talent. And guess what? You know what's unique about that Eradicate? It knows Waterfall. So that's going to make for a really great moment, too, in the battle. And he just grabs you, shoots you up, a stream of water appears. And you're like, what the hell? He can't learn Waterfall. Well, guess what? This gym leader learned Waterfall in his Eradicate. And it's going to be really cool. Ooh, we got sushi. Nice. Man, my girl takes care of me. I'll tell you that right now. Alright, cool. So anyways, back into this. Again, I get sidetracked so much. I'm probably going to do like 3 streams of this. I'll probably stop around 50. Or if the pages get to information that's not important to me right now, I'll skip through it. But let's see what we get. Alright, toughness. Trainers are rather frail compared to a Pokemon. Only the most swole individuals, I love that word, swole, can take a head-on attack from a Pokemon to come out unscathed. A trainer's toughness value is their fitness die type halved. So a trainer with a D6 is 3, you know, if you got a 12, it's a 6, etc. Which is really appropriate, right? It'd be really weird, unless you're that one Elite Four guy who could like wrestle Onyx and punch golems into pieces. It's very unusual for a trainer to be anything more than Ash throwing a punch at Mewtwo, right? Which, man, the balls on that guy, right? Ash has always been like this smoke on sight character. Like, when I see you, it's going down. He's the trainers on the routes that they get the exclamation above their head and, sorry, you can't run. You don't get the consent in this battle. It's time to battle. You're just battling me, right? To a lesser extent, but Ash was always that guy who was on sight, right? You know, it's funny in the games. Sometimes it annoyed me that I couldn't properly avoid the trainers. I'm like, great, I have to battle this guy. We'll see. I was thinking about a recurring rival that always attacks people after they do the gym. And he's like, oh, you want to make excuses? Your Pokemon are hurt? Well, that's too bad. And, you know, probably goat you into actually battling him with your injured Pokemon. Because they usually come just before the gym and then you run to the Pokemon Center. But I like the idea that you get out from this tough fight and this guy's sitting there like, hey, what's up, punk? Let's go right now. Oh, no excuses. And if the player doesn't want to fight him, sure, that's the difference between the TTRPG and the video game, right? You don't force into a fight that happens no matter what, unless it's probably a villain like Team Rocket. But it will be cool to see how you can change stuff and mold stuff. Alright, so attributes in action. Wait, so I should never dump tactics because it's the battle stat. Oh, I was just talking about racing the tactics to D12. Not necessarily. What trainer attribute is used depends on how the trainer is working with their Pokemon. Tactics is an easy fallback, but a trainer could argue rolling heart to sing along their Jigglypuff or roll research to find a weak point for a vital strike. I could see research, if you're dedicated to researching to promote it better, maybe that crit range is a 9 instead of a 10, right? You put your research into it, you know exactly where to strike, you see the crevice or the weakness in Smog for the dragon arrow to kill the dragon. That's your research going there. Sure, the other guy's trained night and day and he's a martial artist and so is his Hitmonchan, but you know exactly where to deliver the strike that's going to make his Hitmonchan hit the floor even though he was physically superior in every way. So it's cool to see that this kind of like, don't just shit on what's going to be meta, because every system, no matter how nice it's designed, there's going to be meta options. In any case, yeah, the GM should allow be a little broad on what they allow. To help give a sense of what works, here are some examples of actions that generally fall under each attribute. Heart, sensing and understanding emotions, social skills, intimidation, cinching up with Pokemon anime style. You want your Riolu to evolve into a thing. Of course, you have mastery, but that is why this is a collaborative game. You want to work with your GM. Maybe it's not appropriate, especially if you know that he's supposed to evolve through friendship and you and him are having a rocky road or it's losing every fight it's in. Maybe it's not a time for it to evolve. You get a refund on your mastery if you try to pull it off mid-battle. Like, hell, hold on now. You go ahead and take that mastery back. I don't think this is appropriate. 9 times out of 10, the GM is going to rule in your favor. But there is that thing where the story is uber important. And we're telling it together. And maybe it's not appropriate. But that's why you can do other stuff with your mastery. Anyways, heart is definitely really great for max friendship. Fitness. Athleticism, endurance, hand-to-hand combat, yada, yada, yada. Research. Looking things up, general knowledge, applying known facts, technology, perceiving surroundings. Tactics, split seconds decisions, directing a team, applying trained skills, battlefield awareness, which in short is also, tactics is also a form of leadership. This stuff is optional. I don't know if I want to get into optional stuff, but I do see sometimes some creators, especially third party and other stuff, they'll do optional stuff, but it's really core stuff that maybe you don't use. But I wonder if it's core stuff. Let's look edges and hindrances. Let's just see generally what this is supposed to be. Oh no, Lance is Dragonite using Hyper Beam. Oh god. Not Hyper Beam. Choose any other move on your sheet. I promise it'll work out better for you, Dragonite. Alright, anyways. I just saw the toughness image from the old games. Edges are specialization acts that make a trainer really stand out apart from their peers in some way. Edges typically grant boons to a certain playstyle or open up new options and approaches. It kind of sounds like feats slash multi-classing in D&D, but we'll see. It could be different. Hindrances are aspects of a trainer that cause minor or major inconveniences or trouble for them during their journey. While most trainers don't achieve edges until they are more experienced, so encourage trainers to take hindrances, doing so at character creation can give them a leg up. Okay, maybe your Paul. Is Paul, was that the guy that was like really good at Pokemon training? He probably had an edge, but he was a douchebag, so he didn't have any heart. He was all tactics and to an extent research. I don't know if he was fitness. I mean, his Pokemon certainly were. You may take hindrances from the hindrance section at character creation for points. Major hindrances grant 2, minor grant 1. Raise one of your attributes by 1 die. Take an edge. Okay, cool. Alright, let's see here. The limits of points that can be gained this way is 4 points total. Unused points are discarded. Nice love. Trainer tips. Let's read some of these trainer tips every now and then. The standard array, which is kind of your set of stuff you give out to your characters. But here it's being used for major and minor hindrances. Is 1 major and 2 minor hindrances. This way, each player will have something significant that can readily be hooked while still having everyday foibles. Man, my English sucks. That's why I went to the army right out of high school. And then now I'm living a different kind of lifestyle because I realized that was stupid. Though, the army did a lot for me. So I would never take that back. But, English is difficult. So foibles, whatever. My hindrance. I got to part of Gen 5. Is that Gen 4? Man, I hate these numerals. I've never been good at those. Where they let you go underground, and I honestly couldn't tell you if there was more game after that. That's how I feel about diving. When I started diving, I was like, man, this is cool, I think. Visually, it was really beautiful. But I didn't know if I really wanted to spend a lot of my time down there doing stuff. Alright, maximum edge for the edge lords. Edge overview. If you want to give your trainer a trainer class, this is the place. Go nuts. But not too nuts. Is Beedrift coming for you? Probably a different Pokemon's coming for you. There we go. I've got a brain, and I use half of it sometimes. It is Gen 4 noise. Alright, edges are optional perks that a trainer can gain upon training advancement during character creation. So what I'll do is I'll just shoot through this section. I'll look at the headers, like battle edges, double battler stuff. I might consume one of them, but not all of them. Alright, so double battler. I love that Pokemon Gale of Darkness / Coliseum artwork. I think I can't remember which one that was for. I know that was the one with the Shadow Pokemon, which is a really cool concept of catching freaking even trainers Pokemon, these Shadowmons, Shadow Lugia and stuff like that. XD Gale of Darkness? Is it XD Gale of Darkness? I don't remember. Alright, I Choose You, which I actually saw on the character sheet in here. Let's see here. That they have an I Choose You section. Which is pretty cool. Can you fit like everything in here? Huh. I guess this is the real move section. This is just the PP maybe? I'll figure out what this sheet is later. Oh, holy crap. That's from Pokemon Snap? Wow. I know the character originated in Gale of Darkness. If we're on the... I know there's a delay. I think there's like a 30-second delay innately on Twitch. Though I'm on YouTube, so I'm not sure if there's the same structure. Or if it could be longer or shorter. I Choose You. Gives you additional moves. Martial Artist, Master of the Styles. Sharp Commentator, Trump Card. Strong Style. Yomi Style. Designing Trump Cards. Oh god, Z moves and stuff. Always Prepared, Move Tutor. Pokemon Coordinator, Pokemon Researcher, Professional. Always liked when Looker showed up. Supernatural Powers, just good old Sabrina. Type Specialist. The only type specialist in the game is the Bug Catcher. Connected, Fan Club. There you go. I know some players on my server that be like, I want to be a fan club. Legend Seeker. Organizational Ties. Pokemon Ranger. That's pretty cool. Feeling Hindered. Hindrances Overview. An important note. I actually asked they follow me around because I put accurate content warnings on my sessions. Noise. That's one way to get your players in. See, that was a poor joke at calling him a player, but whatever. Gaining hindrances, we kind of read that earlier, especially like a 2-for-1 kind of dip off, or 1-for-2 was it? I can't remember. Always Broke, that's hilarious. Code of Conduct, Bad Rep. Disability, Gullible, Frail, Hyper-competitive, NPC face. The character has a large extended family in which every member looks almost exactly the same. Oh, Nurse Joy. That is hilarious. Like, you go to his hometown and you don't know if it's him or if it's his sister. Yes, him or his sister. Because they all just look so closely related. You look mean or you're petty. Oh god, there's a Kaiba for the petty. You could easily have put Vegeta there too. Sorry, couldn't think of a Pokemon character that fit all of these criteria, so here's Seto Kaiba. If you win this duel, you'll toss my body over this edge and maybe kill me. This guy was crazy growing up. This guy was crazy. Dude, the type of dude to go in your house and slap your grandma. Or take your grandpa's most legendary card. And then doesn't even keep it, just tears it up and laughs like a maniac. Phobia, maybe, you know, like Misty and Bug Pokemon originally. I don't know if she ever got over that. I feel like she did, but she did hate those Bug Pokemon. Quirky, reckless, rival. Rivals, that's a pro. That's not even a hindrance. There's gotta be a rival. 0, bad rep, code of conduct. So these are the majors. They're running through the same portions, but in a larger capacity, right? This is a bigger issue for you. I would say that Misty had a major phobia of bug Pokemon. No, it's from Coliseum West. There we go. Huh. Talking about the edge icon. Hey, we like some edge. Okay, my lunch got here about 10 minutes ago. I'm gonna have some lunch with my wife here. So let me go ahead and look at this last page. And then I'll be picking this up some more. Tonight I gotta run a D&D session. Because people gotta make a living. But I'm really, 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 really enjoying this. I know it's not the premier, homebrew, third party, labor of love work, but it might be the premier one for me and the people on my server. I've got a few people already interested in potentially a Saturday morning game. So Pokeballs all in a row. Now it's cool, man. You pick first. There we go. Imagine they should have released a game where the guy's like, nah, I'm gonna go first, and you only got 2 options. That would probably suck, but whatever. The safe bet is to give the villain the grass starter because 80% of people pick the water or fire one. I would say it's probably like 60% go fire, 30% go water, 10 go grass. No shade on the grass people out there, but you know you're always in the minority. So don't come at me like, Bulbasaur's my favorite. That's cool. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you had to have a game where the guy was like, I'm going to pick first, it's probably a safe bet for him to grab the grass starter. Or for all of them to be gone, there's a Pikachu option instead, right? Which is probably cool, right? We could have one of the players like, oh, sorry, the starters are all gone. And then the starter you chose, which is probably not a conventional starter, he's like, hey, but I've got this Riolu back here. You want it? Or this Fampi, because I'm definitely all over Fampi, because I got to get to Donphan, my favorite Pokemon. Pokemon are the creatures that a Pokemon trainer works with to achieve all sorts of things, and their bonds are central to the world of Pokemon. Man, random thought. I was thinking about my origins in Pokemon, and I remember watching Pokemon 2000, and they really tried to talk about the birds and the bees. I'm like, whoa, hold on now. And I remember I brought the movie to school, and it was played. I think it was in 5th grade. My teacher played it in, and then Jesse and James starts going on about sex, and I'm like, whoa, I don't know what's going on here, but the teacher was like, it's over. Take this down. You know, social media wasn't as wild back then. Our minds didn't develop as fast about these topics. Sure, we knew about them. We joked about them. But our knowledge was very limited versus a world where everything is at our fingertips. You can't even play a game without either seeing spoilers or having it completely unraveled on YouTube with every single possible secret and stuff told almost in the first week of its release, right? No, we had to figure it out ourselves. We had to find out. It was real interesting how we all found Missingo in the original games and stuff like that. It was just kind of crazy. It was a different world back then. I'm not saying it was a better world. There was a lot of problematic stuff that still kind of hurts us today. But it was a different world back then, especially when it came to games and how we consumed stuff. So it's pretty cool. Man, I like going on rants, right? I hope you guys don't mind that. At creation, however, trainers begin with just one Mon, any of their choice. Usually, but not exclusively, an unevolved starting stage Pokemon. Fake Mons, regional variants, and all sorts of other creative choices are also available with GM approval. A big thing there, right? Don't tell me you're starting with Dragonite, buddy. If you want Dratini, sure. Usually I was thinking like any underdog Pokemon, conventional starter, or non-pseudo-legendary. But how they're implemented in the game is a bit different. Players take control of playing the Pokemon in their roster in all but exceptional cases. Maybe you got that Charizard. Charizard don't like you because you got 2 gym badges. Even though Ash's Charizard didn't care that he had all 8, even though he was level 70. Yeah, maybe Charizard decides not to listen to you. I can see that happening in the case of a trade. If you want to keep to the video games, like, hey, you got to get another badge. This guy doesn't think you're up to snuff. So yeah, he'll give you your order, but there's a small chance, especially when you roll bad on your trainer die in particular, that he's not going to respect you. To begin, record your starting Pokemon's species on your sheet. Nicknames and gender. Some trainers choose to refer to their Pokemon by their species, but many trainers give their Pokemon unique nicknames. If your trainer chooses to give their Pokemon nickname, record it on their sheet. Pokemon gender is more or less cosmetic in Pokemans, but it could be an important part of a player's conception of a Pokemon's identity. You guys saw you cannot have the lady bunny Pokemons if you're gonna be a weirdo, okay? You gotta choose a normal Pokemon. There's gonna be no sleeping with your Pokemon in my game. That's a different Pokemans. That's Pokemans NSFW, which is probably out there somewhere. No, absolutely out there somewhere. You're gonna pick Pokemon, doesn't matter their gender, just because you want to have that Pokemon. And I know some people out there already slapping their knee. God damn it! I guess I can't use Gardevoir. Alright, in any case, special abilities. Each Pokemon has a special ability, so we all know about this kind of stuff. Or passive abilities. Torrent and all that other stuff for Pokemon. Pokemon types. We've got a full list here. It looks like Fairies made the list too. I guess they did try to cover everything, right? Moves and assigning moves. Alright guys, my food's getting cold. I think I covered a good amount of pages today. I really thought I was going to do half the book, but I'm so dumb. There's no way I was going to do half the moves. But when we pick up next time, we're going to start on the moves overview, assigning moves, and really kind of like eat up this amazing source book. I gotta say, I skimmed through it very briefly before shooting through the entire book in like 20 minutes. This is awesome. Great job. Love the product. I'll be back soon. Anyways, guys, hope you catch them all. See you later.